I'm starting the process of going live. So. $15, yes, sir. Oh.
Okay, and welcome.
We acknowledge that we're gathered on the lands of the Blackfoot people of the Canadian Plains.
We pay respect to the Blackfoot people's past, present, and future.
Ads. Gosh darn it.
I always mess with a good idea, Al.
Exactly.
And I've been working on it for about a week.
I've been using the queuing this up. I thought I was past this. Your videos killed
Now
the
I'm gonna show you
TV.
how I
What?
scramble it. Okay, so here's my essay.
Oh. Okay, the technology is.
Recognizes thousands of indigenous
From many diverse nations, all left their home, including members of the Blackfoot Confederacy,
the six gates,
Akana,
Siksika, Amstapi,
as well as other First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples. We respect Indigenous peoples' cultural heritage,
beliefs, truth, and relationship to the land.
It stretches back in time.
blink at history. We will not blink at history.
And we will learn from it. Oki is an invitation.
And step forward.
In Blackfoot, Oki. Okay.
Okay.
Oki. And welcome to the lands of the Blackfoot people.
Okay, and welcome
Okay,
to
Al.
Hopeifiers. My name's Alan Fries, and I'm here with Scott Sweetman. Hey, Scott.
Hi, everyone.
We have a three-part series to you about hope in the holidays. Jesse has a little computer challenge there, Scott. He's asking us to kind of stall for 3 minutes. His computer failed. He had to reboot it. So now he's in the reboot process. But
I think if it was 3 hours, I might have to concern myself now. But,
right, but I think 3 minutes.
3 minutes, no problem.
Yes.
I like your background. That's fantastic, buddy. I went the easy route.
I got the thing from Jose's Imports. That's
Yeah.
becoming my favorite store. I went down to Jose's and said, "Here's what I want." And you can't see, but at the bottom there's elephants, and oh, it's beautiful. So there's a big tree, and then the lights are this thing called Twinkly. And so I don't know if you noticed, but it responds to my voice a little bit.
Mhm.
So anyways, then it picks up. There's a little microphone-y thingy here that's picking up my voice and then illuminates, like changes the pattern on the light. So yeah.
The only thing in my house that listens to my voice is my dog, and that's only
Yes.
sometimes. But you know.
Well, with you have many women there, but they don't listen to you.
No, it's kind of my job to listen. But yeah, no. Sometimes the dog humors me and pretends to listen to me.
Oh, that's nice.
For sure. So where's Jose's? I recognize the name. Is it in Center Village Mall?
It's right by Elrich Tire,
Oh, right.
across from that mall there is where it is, right?
Yeah,
Place
that's
Mall, I
right.
guess that is. So
Yeah.
right across from there, this shop. It's been around forever. They got all kinds of amazing things from all over the world. I've been buying shirts from her, and I bought my little crystal thingy
Nice.
there. Yeah, so
I think the girls bought some skirts or dresses, wraparound dresses there, I
oh
think.
yeah, they got amazing stuff there, and just like all kinds of funky things, and yeah, yes,
Cool. It's really nice to see local businesses surviving everything that's going on.
yes, very much so. Yeah, very much so. And there was like, I don't know, 4 or 5 people in the store when I went in there. So yeah, it was good.
A lot of that, so much of survival for entrepreneurs and small business is really about, keeping the hope alive and not giving up, because it's like farming or, really anything that you do. There's obviously an amount of risk, there's an amount of stress. I grew up having people talk about, job for life. I never experienced that. I never really knew anyone who hadn't grew up in a farming community. So yeah, everyone had a job for life unless the bank took your farm. But, I think that that's so far away from any reality that we've had for a couple generations that it's really not even something that we can consider.
Yeah, it's not a thing anymore, job for life, right? I mean,
No.
back in the day it was, right? Your grandpa and my grandpa, they started at one place and they worked there for 47 years and then started their pension and died 2 months later.
Isn't there a song that says your grandpa and my grandpa? Didn't
Yeah,
Carlos
there is.
something did that? You're the music man. I don't know. But yeah, no, it's true. Yeah, life was kind of laid out, but
Yeah,
not so anymore.
no.
And reinventing your life is something that's embraced a lot now.
Yes.
I remember that, I don't know, 20 years ago or something, where mid-career upgrading or changing was like the big word, the big buzz out there. But now lots of people go through 3 or 4 career incarnations, certainly in their lifetime, and it's perfectly normal and acceptable. It used to be when people interviewed, if you changed careers, people were very suspicious of that, right? Oh, why did you change? Why aren't you doing this anymore? But I don't think that's such an issue now.
No, I don't think so either. Yeah, I don't think so either. And with the whole the great resignation, they're calling it now, like where people are not going back to work, right?
Yeah.
Or they're changing careers, or they're reevaluating their life, or they're deciding that maybe they can have a different life than they had before COVID, right? Which I think this is a great kind of a reset thing to kind of go through and say, yeah, the world has changed, and how does that affect me, and how can I navigate and have a good life in this new reality, right? So, and for
I think
some of us
education-
that's easier, others it's hard, right? It's
You bet.
depending on where you started this, right? So,
And your life experiences and what you've gone through before, and to a lot of people, new things are really stressful and really challenging, and other people get really excited by them. So
I'm just going to text Jesse and say, are we good?
are we good to go? I was going to say that education needs to keep up with that, because I know a lot of people have made a shift to basically cottage-based industry or artisanship or crafting, in their own homes, or making goods or having services that they're providing on their own. But education has to keep up with that in terms of teaching people how to be entrepreneurs and teaching people, the financial responsibilities and processes and the legal ramifications of owning your own business, or running your own business out of your home. And so I think that education has to make sure it keeps up with the transitions from post-COVID to pre-COVID times.
Definitely. We're live again.
Yay!
Jess FM, Jess TV, we dropped off for a minute, but we're back now. So if you didn't hear the introduction, my name's Alan Friesen. This is Scott Sweetman. The show is called Hopeifiers. What we want to chat with you about is hope in the holidays. Holidays are coming up. For some people, it's a great time. I don't think it's anybody like the Disney movies. There's nobody that has that experience. But there's a big range of what Christmas means.
We're going to talk about that, Al. So we've got 3 shows coming up. Tonight is going to be how to avoid feelings of holiday hopelessness. That's a big one. Our next week's show is going to be on giving gifts of hope for the holidays. It's going to be a great one because there's a lot of empty shelves out there. A lot of things aren't going to arrive before the holidays. So we're going to have some things that all of you out there can give to give hope to others, to keep a little bit of hope in your own heart, and have a great holiday. And then our last one is how to keep hope-filled hearts after the holidays, because a lot of times people get ramped up for the holidays and they have all this great time and friends and family, and then just everyone goes back to their regular life. And that can cause people to lose a lot of that energy and hope. So those are the three things we've chosen to share with all of you over the holidays. We hope that you'll take away some positive energy and pick up on the fact that hope's where it's at. That's the answer to almost every problem. We would say every problem out there, but most people would agree that it's certainly an answer to a majority of the problems out there. Right, Al?
Exactly. Now, Scott, I don't know if you noticed this, but on Facebook, I posted that we would give a money back guarantee if we don't increase people's hope tonight.
Will we? Oh, goodness.
So you better have your checkbook ready to do those refunds if we can't pull it off, buddy.
I got 68 cents and I'm willing to split that amongst anyone who writes in and wants some of it. So
excellent.
Exactly that. Yes.
Okay, we're prepared then.
Okay, we're ready to go. So all 68 of you out there, that's about a cent each. You're welcome to. Okay, so we're going to talk about the holiday seasons. And have you ever heard silly season, horrible holidays? You know, there's a lot of different monikers that the holidays go by, and a lot of them aren't positive, right?
Right. Yeah. No,
You
a
know,
lot of
so-
people, like Christmas is a really, and a lot of expectations don't get met, right? The expectations get kind of where, you know, that it's going to be like a Disney movie, and it doesn't end up like a Disney movie, and then, you know, then there's disappointment from that.
And we're going to talk about that in more detail. And really what we need to think about is that, first of all, we have to be really sensitive. And I've run into this in my personal life, you know, people I really care about. And, you know, I've only learned after I've, you know, shared all this positive energy and happy holiday wishes and things, that their Christmas tradition is about sadness or grief or remembering things that have gone or that they've lost in terms of loved ones or people they care about. And so we never really know what's going on around us. And I know we raised a bunch of money one year at one of the establishments downtown. Perlish Brothers Auctions donated a steer and we auctioned it off right in the dining room in the nightclub there. Raised a bunch of money, collected a bunch of things for a Secret Santa program, went out Christmas Eve, delivered a bunch of toys and gifts. And, you know, a lot of the people were really joyous that we were there, but a lot of people, we saw the suffering that they had. And, you know, we saw alcoholism, drug addiction, you know, domestic violence and things that people were struggling with while, you know, the house next door was maybe, you know, celebrating and lit up for the holidays and, you know, all of those things. So one of the most important things I think to remember this time of year is everyone has a unique experience for Christmas. You want to share one of your experiences, Al? Let people know sort of where we're coming from on this.
Well, I want to interject one thing when you're talking about, you know, Christmas and what you did in that. The Angel Tree program through Lethbridge Family Services is going on. And I chatted with Michelle Gallucci the other day, just yesterday, about it. And she said that there was like over 3,000 people that they're
Wow.
providing gifts for. So amazing program. And you know what, in terms of Christmases, I can't remember much except for just like, you know, being in your jammies on Christmas morning and there was something under the tree for you to open up. And then there was food and, you know, and laughter and that kind of thing. Right. And I could never, I can't recall, here was the most amazing Christmas present I ever got. I think they were all, that day, they were the most amazing thing in the world, right? That
Yeah.
particular day. But I think it was more just the experience of being, you know, hanging around there in your jammies with all the excitement you get to rip off the open the gifts, right? So how about you, Scott?
Travel. For me, yeah. So my parents were divorced when I was 6. And for a lot of people out there, you can associate with this. So I had 2 parents that I had to go visit at Christmas time. And that was always a big fight between them when I was younger. And then older, I got put in the middle of who I was going to go see first. And then I had 2 sets of grandparents that, of course, were not seeing each other, although my grandparents were wonderful and they would come together if I needed them to be together or whatever, which my parents later on became friends and they would too. But so for me, it was always about traveling. And then when I got married, you know, we had to go see my mom, which is in central Alberta. We had to go see Fleur's family, which is in southern Alberta. And so Christmas Day, we'd stop in Airdrie and get Kentucky Fried Chicken on our way to whichever place we had spent, you know, not spent the night before at. So for me, Christmas, I have a lot of memories of driving back and forth between celebrations and trying to make myself eat sometimes 2 turkey dinners and things. So yeah, it brings back, I had great Christmas. I'm not complaining, but it definitely, there's an aspect that, you know, people who didn't come from 2 family homes maybe wouldn't understand, but those that do, or, you know, and then when my parents remarried, of course, that complicated things even further because they had other families they had to go to and all sorts of things. So whole point is we all have different views. We all have different memories of Christmas. And like we always say, be sensitive to each other, right? And know that everyone is going through stuff. So that's pretty important. The other thing that happens too, and psychology really shows us this, and there's almost a regression that happens, and that's when we go home for Christmas. Those who have, you know, a place to go home or something to go home, we almost revert to our younger self, and a lot of the problems that we experienced when we were teenagers or younger come back to the surface. You know, people talk about, you know, oh, that, you know, it's not Christmas till somebody cries. That's sort of a joke in our house. It's from a movie, I don't know which movie, but a lot of that is because psychologically, when we return to our home or to a place that we consider to be home around people that we maybe grew up with, often we revert to some of the behaviors and the problems that we experienced at that time, and our behavior reflects that. So
Makes sense.
yeah, you know, and brothers, sisters, you know, we may have gotten along with them as adults, but then when we get together for the holidays, suddenly all the sort of petty squabbles and things that and they weren't petty when you were in them, and they suddenly resurface and become not so petty when you're older, and you know, they can pull up. So I know a lot of psychologists warn about not reverting back and revisiting the problems of childhood or growth or challenges that you faced. It doesn't have to be your family. It can be your friends, getting together with friends. You know, I know people that return to their hometowns and visit friends and things for the holidays, or fly home, and, you know, they sort of fall right back into the old ways rather than bringing the newest. So there's a warning there not to fall back into childhood or former patterns, right? So holidays, a lot about patterns. And as we were talking about, the holidays make a lot of people feel like they have to be happy, but there's a lot of depression and anxiety that goes on during the holidays. Of course, that doesn't usually make it to the Hallmark cards. It doesn't make it to the television shows. It doesn't make it to, you know, the things that we tell our friends. Oh, what did you do over Christmas? You know, I sat home and was lonely. But the fact is, a lot of people have those feelings. In fact, most of us, most people, everyone I know has some of that, right? Get anxious, get nervous, even get depressed during that time. And it can be financial stress, right? A lot of parties, you know, I know that a lot of people are just starting to work. They don't feel like they can afford, you know, fancy clothes. And if you watch, you know, TV, we all get dressed up and wear a new sweater, and we give lots of presents and all of those things. So a lot of expectations, lots of things going on. And so tonight we're going to talk about beating those blues, keeping it upbeat. Do not get into the holiday hopelessness. Stay hopeful.
Exactly.
Okay.
How
So
do we steer clear, Scott? What's the process, man?
I got a list of 10.
Let's
As
hear
you
it.
know, I went out and did my research. And so I pulled it from a lot of different places. I pulled it from everything from, you know, self-help, Psychology Today, women's magazines, men's magazines, everything in between. Lots of different, you know, how to deal with the holidays kind of stuff. And then I
Let
took
me ask
them.
you this quick question. With your list of 10 that you compiled,
Yeah.
did you vet it through some of them smart women that you're hanging around with every day? Did you?
Absolutely.
Good.
So
Excellent. Okay, good.
it's vetted and it's good to go. So these are things that were reoccurring in most of the lists, and some of the things were kind of unique that I thought I wanted to share with everyone. So one of the things is about routine, and routines change during the holidays, right? Everyone sort of looks forward if they have time off, or if they don't have time off. To a lot of people, it's time to make up some extra hours, get some extra money when other people are taking time off. I know when I was a young fellow, I really looked forward to the holidays because I worked extra shifts, made extra money. New Year's was always great because I had extra money in my jeans. So, but what that means is there's a change in our routines. And changes in routines can be really positive, or they can be really negative to people. And sometimes we're not really aware of why we're feeling anxious or why we're feeling, sort of low energy or why we're feeling down. And one of the things that a lot of the sources said was to look at your routine and look at the things that have changed that actually help keep you stable, happy, positive, and hopeful. So things like exercise, you should keep up your exercise routines. Don't, just because you're off from work or taking a break, don't give up on, your exercise. Don't give up on, if you're getting counseling, if you're seeing a doctor or a healthcare provider, make sure that you talk to them about your schedule over the holidays and do you need to, keep that up, or is it okay to take a break? So really make sure that be aware of your schedule, be aware of what's changed and how it's affecting how you feel, and if it's reducing hope or it's increasing hope and happiness in your life. I think that makes sense.
I understand. So you're saying basically almost everybody's going to experience a change in their schedule. So just be aware that you're going to have this experience in your schedule or the change in your schedule, and kind of manage that change to maintain your hope, to maintain your optimism, to maintain your health and energy. Yes?
Yes. One of the interesting sources was talking about people who take on extra work over the holidays.
Yes.
And one of the things that often they'll say is, I don't have a choice. I have to work over the holidays. And that's a big downer internally. Like if your internal voices keeps telling you, I have to do this and I'm not happy and everyone else is out having fun because I have to do this. The important thing is to remember that it's still a choice, even though, it might be to put food on the table.
Consequences. You might not want the consequences.
Exactly.
No, but it's still a choice you're making, right?
And for your mental health and your hopefulness and your happiness, as long as you accept that at some level you have made a choice, you get ownership over it again. But if you keep telling yourself, I have to do this, something else is making me do this, you're setting yourself up to be really unhappy, right?
If you change that you have to I get to,
Mhm.
that I get to, as opposed to I have to, makes all the difference in the world, right? I could choose not to, but I don't like the consequence, so I'm going to do it. So if I'm choosing to do it, then I get to do this, right?
Well, and a lot of times, like my story where we used to stop and it became a tradition with Fleur and I, we used to stop at the Airdrie Kentucky Fried Chicken every year. And the staff working there, we were really happy to see them. Like they were part of our tradition. And I don't know if they were as happy as we were, but we were really thankful because we were out on the road and, you can only listen to so many hours. It's like a 6-hour drive of Christmas music. And, so they made our Christmas better because they were working. So, and a lot of people who do work or have things to do over the holidays are helping out other people, even if they don't realize it. And that's something we should all get excited about.
True.
We have more to talk about that later. Okay, now this one you brought up, Al, and I think this is key to it all, is the expectations, right? This is a season so packed full of expectations, so much imagery, visual imagery, sensual imagery, the smells, the sounds, all of it is pre-packaged, pre-bundled expectation.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Right?
Yeah.
And so we can't help but get caught up in that. And we all want the ideal Christmas, right? I always think of National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Did you ever see that movie?
Sure
and
did.
the guy's crazy, right? And he builds the house and covers it with a zillion lights to make his parents happy and give his family the perfect Christmas. And of course, he just drives everyone nuts and almost burns the house down and many, many things. But that ideal can really take the genuine experience away from all of us. And I and people I've loved, I've seen everyone at a party and then somebody just disappears and you go looking for them and they're just sitting in some quiet corner of the house and they look sad and you say, what's wrong? And they say, well, everyone seems to be having fun, but it's just not what I expected. Mm-hmm. And that really is a self-defeating situation, right? Like if we set our expectations up, if we say everyone's going to be happy and the world doesn't change because of the holidays. I mean, really, your bills don't go away, issues don't go away. Yeah, maybe we put them on hold for a little while, but everything is still there. We can't expect that we're going to have this magical time where everything is going to be positive. No one's going to be stressed, and that's the number one thing. Everything I read said that, everyone loves to watch the Christmas movies, and there's whole channels now dedicated to, it seems like, raising your expectations about a holiday that absolutely no one can keep. So, the perfect meal and the perfect clothes and the perfect family and the perfect car and the perfect house. And we can just go on and on and on about all the perfect things.
Oh, and you find love, and you find, right, everything, every
Perfect love with no work at all involved, right? Just
all of a sudden you just hear boom. Yeah, that's amazing, right? So yes, I know.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree that it's kind of ruined a beautiful event of spending time with the people that you love, and the gifts didn't really matter. The gifts don't matter, but spending time where people you have love, and the phone's not ringing because there's not work to be done. You just enjoy that time, right? Enjoy that comfort with people that you care about. So I think or animals. I think for a lot of people, their relationship with their animal is, spending time with their furry family members is as valuable as any human interactions, right? For a lot of people. So
I was just, when you mentioned gifts, it's funny you said animals, because our Akita loves to tear apart boxes. He does it when he's stressed, and he does it for fun. It's sort of his work. He drags them to a space in the living room and he shreds them. And I've talked to other Akita owners, and their Akitas do the same thing. And I love our golden retriever used to do the same thing. And I love at Christmas, when all the craziness has died down, just watching the dogs obliterate this cardboard, because there's something, they're in joy. They have no expectations other than tearing that cardboard apart, and they are so happy. So take a lesson from the Akita and the other furry friends in our lives, and just be happy, darn it. No, but seriously.
Hey, Scott, just speaking of that, have you ever had the experience at Christmas where there's a little person there, and they open the box and they look at the toy, it's like, throw that away and play with the box? It's just like, all right. So really the special blah, blah, blah toy really didn't matter to that little person. They're just as happy as hell with the box and the wrapping paper. So
yeah, I was one of those little kids, man. A big box and some imagination, and you're set for life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's right. You got a spaceship, you got a car, you got a train. Yeah, you go. Exactly. Yeah.
A sleigh, the ones that put that sort of slick color sticker on it of whatever's in the box. Boy, those go like nobody's business. Got in the sugar bowl. Try it out, kids. That'll make you happy for sure.
Exactly.
So yeah, I think we've all been there. I don't think we have to go on too much, but keep your expectations within the reality zone, and realize when you're being sold a dream that doesn't exist. It's a fantasy. Enjoy the fantasy, but don't bring that back to your real life, right? Don't make that television fantasy shape your expectations about real people and real relationships and real situations, because it just ain't so.
I agree. Alan Jackson has this song that I just learned recently, and in it he says basically about to realize, it's called "The Older I Get," the song, but that's the people you love, not the money and stuff that make you rich. So a beautiful song and a beautiful chunk of lyric, right?
We're going to talk about that when we talk about giving hope for the holidays, because with COVID and everything, and inflation, crazy inflation going on, gift giving is going to have to change this year, and a lot of people are struggling with that. Talking to a lot of people, they can't get things in the stores. Shelves are empty, and I don't want to paint this gloomy picture, because we've got it so much better than other places, but there's a lot of frustration right now, and we're going to talk about things that you can give, gifts of hope, to make your holidays better and the people around you next week. So come back to that. Speaking of coming back to that, Alan, over the holidays, is your daughter coming up this year? No. Okay. So, and that's not happy, right? Like, of course you'd love to see her. My daughters are getting to the point where they've got serious relationships going on. First time in my life, I had to say, okay, guys, are you going to be here Christmas Eve? First time, right? And luckily this year, I was sort of able to bully my way through and say, okay, I want from 8 o'clock at night until 10 o'clock the next morning, Christmas Eve. Outside of those times, you can go wherever you want, do it. But I know probably this is the last year ever I'm going to get that veto power. So
probably, yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of people are dealing with, they've lost a loved one, COVID and other things. Regular life happens. the death rate isn't lower at Christmas time than it is at any other time of the year. The cancer rate isn't lower. All of those things continue. And so it's a lot of us are facing situations where we can't be with the people we want to be for lots of reasons. And it may just be that they're too far away and we can't travel this year. It may be because they're no longer with us and they've gone on and we're still here. So it's really important to stay connected, and it takes effort. People sometimes think that people are just automatically going to connect with them, and that if people don't connect with them, then it's other people's fault, or that they themselves are somehow worthless. Oh, if I only had friends, somebody would be calling me up and inviting me. That's again about expectations. If you're alone, make it so you're not alone. Don't wait for other people. Call somebody up. If you don't think you have anyone you can call up, make friends, Al and I, email us. We know lots of organizations that can use your help over the holiday. No problem at all. Send us an email, right, Al?
You bet. Definitely.
And going out and helping an organization, working in a kitchen, being there, volunteering in an event, or just spending time in a seniors lodge or wherever the restrictions and things will let you be this time of year. You don't have to be alone. No one has to be alone during this time of year. Make a connection. And like Al said, doesn't even have to be a two-legged person. It can be a four-legged person. If you're in need of a four-legged friend, send me an email. Send Al an email. We got lots of four-legged friends. We can help you out there. No problem. The thing to do is stay connected, right? Because that's a genuine hope killer. If you feel you're alone, then things start looking pretty hopeless. If you actively do everything you can to connect with someone, something, some group, it will happen. It may not be exactly perfect. It may not be the wonderfully cozy, intimate dream you wish for.
It may be a virtual thing, right? It might be a phone or a Zoom or a Duo or whatever, but that's still connecting. That's still good. That's still worth it.
Absolutely. And it's one of those things. I know that I had to Christmas Eve call tech support on something I was doing. And the person I talked to, we talked for like an extra 20 minutes. They were obviously sitting there alone, and I had the time. So we just chatted, and it was a great time to connect. And I will never talk to the person again, probably. Don't have no idea what they look like, but we shared a moment or two there together. So
nice. That's awesome.
Reach out, people, connect to somebody. Don't be alone. And if you're going to be alone, in all seriousness, email Al. He is the connector, the navigator extraordinaire. We will find you a group that needs your help over the holidays.
Sounds like a plan. Can I just
Perfect.
also add on your connection theme? I just took a course, a webinar thing on a couple days ago, and the connection came up like 3 times in it. One was a quote that said, "The opposite of addiction is connection. The opposite of addiction is connection." And even in terms of where people who are navigating challenges, trauma in their life, what solves that, soothes that, helps that to move forward is connection, right? So connection is so important with however you connect and whomever you connect with. Then it's really, really important for us, our mental health. We're made to talk to people. We're made to connect, right? That's our human existence. That's what we need.
I was talking to a French priest, Father Brissot, many years ago, a Jesuit, very intelligent theologian and scholar, and he was, I said, well, what's the most important thing at Christmas time? And without missing a step, he said, fellowship. That's your responsibility at Christmas. He said, find fellowship, create fellowship, surround yourself in fellowship, even if it's only one. Like you said, make a phone call, make a video call. It's time for fellowship, creating fellowship. Fellowship is the route of hope. Hope is the right of healing. It's the path of growth. It's the path of becoming more than you are and helping other people do the same. So create that fellowship. So connection, make it happen.
Beautiful.
Do it, right? Okay. Big one here. Throw guilt out the window. Say, I am not going to be guilty this holiday.
That's excellent.
And a lot of the resources, and it's really interesting because they were separated in what they meant by that. So when, and I'm going to get flamed for this, but when I was looking at sources that I would predominantly say were targeting female audiences, they were about, don't think the turkey dinner has to be perfect. A lot of them were stereotypical. I used to cook our turkeys and stuff until I got sick, and now the gang does it, right? And the men's sources targeted at predominantly male audiences were a lot about paychecks and, don't worry about trying to buy the latest this or that and whatever. And guilt seems to come whoever you are and wherever you fit on that spectrum. There's always something that somebody else says you should feel guilty about if you can't do it in a certain way. That's bunkum. Throw that out. Bah humbug. You have nothing to feel guilty about. Do your best. That's all the people who love you want, is do your best. Right?
And if the turkey is perfectly imperfect, or the Christmas tree decorations that dad put up are perfectly imperfect, that's just totally fine. That's good. So, yeah.
Yeah. One of the last years, sorry.
Guilt is, I don't know if you remember, we chatted about guilt a bit before, and we're talking about guilt, that, certainly the value in terms of correcting your, adjusting what you do because you've said, oh, gee, this was harmful to somebody else, or this was hurtful or thoughtless. I'm going to then guilt as something to guide that behavior go forward makes sense. But guilt, just to hold on to that guilt, it just detracts and damages your enjoyment of life, right? And your ability to just be at peace and have the most strongest relationships with others. Guilt with yourself and others. Guilt is something that detracts away from that, right? So
it does. And Al and I are giving you, here's the money shot, guys. Al and I are giving you permission tonight. You can say, Alan Scott said, you have permission just to say no.
There you go. No guilt.
No. Don't accept, hey, Mom, I can't come over then. Can you cook another dinner for me and my friends? No. Oh, Dad, I don't want to use a used one. My friends all have new ones. Can I get a new one? No. Okay. You have our permission to say no, because it doesn't mean you're a bad person. It doesn't mean you're somehow inadequate. It just means you're being honest. And if we all learn to be more honest and say no more often in a heartfelt way, not in a mean way, but, just being honest and say, my resources at this time don't allow me to do that. And everything I read said that one thing we all need to learn to do more of is say no in a positive way, and in a reaffirming way. Like, you have to look after yourself. So we get a lot of people who give us invitations that we feel like we're obligated to go to. You get those, Al, man, in the community like you get a gazillion invitations to do stuff. You can't go to them all, right? You get so many requests to give money to, your mailbox, that people asking for money you've never heard of, you don't even know. They're not even in our community, which isn't necessarily not a reason to give to them, but so many, right? You only have so much time, so much money, so much anything. Everything's finite. Remember, it's your holiday too. Remember, it's to maintain your own resources, to be hopeful and happy. Often you have to say no. Yeah.
Good advice. And that's all year round. That's not just at Christmas, right? I mean, the reality is we have to say no, because otherwise other people's expectations and other people's requests could be just too much for us, and then we're not happy anymore. And if we're not happy, and if we're not in a good place, well, we can't be of value to other people, right? If we're always in a state of not enough, or we're not meeting the grade, right? So yeah, saying no, it's important.
We got a book, because we're close to the end of the list. We're running out of time even faster. I just want to add to this. I was recently reading an article about how our language has affected the recent generations. And one of the most damaging things that's entered into our vocabulary is sure, no problem.
Okay, yeah.
When somebody asks something, you say, sure, no problem. I know I'm guilty of this. What you're doing is you're devaluing it. And if the person is someone who believes you and trusts you, they're going to assume that you actually mean, I've got lots of time and resources and I'm sitting around doing nothing. Absolutely, I'll take care of that because I have nothing else to do.
Yeah.
And it was what we were talking about earlier about setting expectations. So at times we need to say, I really want to do that for you, but I can't do it right now for you, or etc. So a lot of times, even just the language we use can set up those expectations.
Yeah, makes sense.
So be careful of saying things like, oh, no problem, dear, I'll do that for you. Because Yeah, a good no sometimes is healthier for you and them. Ask for help. That ties right into what we're talking about, right? We just told you to say no. Now we're saying ask for help. Well, how are those two things compatible? Because often there are people who can help you, and there are people who are willing to help you, and they may not be the people that you normally ask. And, many of us grew up in a time when asking a stranger for help was verboten, not something you did, period. You could be starving. You would not ask a stranger for anything, ever. You know what I'm talking about, Al. You've been there.
I do,
And
especially those of the male persuasion are
Oh,
not
yeah.
going to ask for help. Yes,
yeah, that's part of that toxic masculinity, right? That goes both ways,
it does.
But everyone, and it's not fair either that it's more acceptable or less acceptable, because it's not even about acceptability. If you need help, there are people and organizations that want to help you. You just have to keep asking until you find somebody that really can help you. And if you see somebody that's overwhelmed or struggling themselves, maybe you can trade something with them. Maybe you can help them in a way and free up some of their time to help you. Or maybe you're going to have to look to somebody else, and maybe it's somebody you don't know. Maybe it's one of the service organizations in town. Maybe it's one of the fellowship groups in town. There are so many organizations in Lethbridge that really want to help people. And, if you're somebody who needs help, get in touch with them. Set your pride on a shelf. Get rid of the old idea that we don't ask people for help. If you need help, ask for it. You will get it.
Another way to connect. Another back to how important connection is. Yeah.
Absolutely. And often it's just finding that person that has the time, has the energy, and has the resources to help you with what you need. And it may not be the people that you count on, which again, that's that expectation thing, right? That you count on to help you when you need it, because they may be drowning themselves. I saw a cartoon when there's two people drowning in some water, and they're treading water, and the one guy says to the other one, "Hey brother, can you give me a lift?" And it's like, yeah, okay. So look for help. If you need help, don't be afraid to ask for it, and don't be afraid to go outside of your comfort zone to find the help you need to keep that hope high, keep the holidays a positive, healthy, a survivable event for you, right? And tied in with that is don't be alone if you don't want to. We're talking about a lot of things here, and it sort of ties in with all the things we've been saying. Is spending the holidays alone is okay if that's really what you want to do, but then don't feel bad about it. Don't sit and say, "Oh, well, I'm alone because I have to be alone." And we sort of touched in those things. People will appreciate you, and volunteer. Look for people that need an extra hand. If you look for somebody that says, "Oh, I've got 3 meals to cook," offer to help. Don't sit home alone. And just make sure you reach out if you need it. The last thing, number 10 on my list, and this is the most important one as we run out of time, is be good to yourself. This is your holiday too. And I think that I always use this because it took me a while to figure this out. It's probably my third trip on an airplane. The little sign that says, "In the event of an oxygen emergency, make sure you put on your mask before helping children or others." I thought, well, that's kind of a selfish thing to do. That's not how I was raised. Help out the women and children first, go last. You can't if you're laying unconscious on the floor, right?
You got to help yourself first.
You have to. Before you can help anyone else, before you can make anyone else's holiday great or good or survivable, you have to survive yourself. And it is the holidays. And often they can be really simple. Maybe it's just making the perfect cup of coffee and a perfect, mug that you've cherished with a friend. That's
maybe it's just watching your dog rip the hell out of the cardboard bags or cardboard boxes afterwards. Maybe that's your big joy for
I'll post a video this year of that for Christmas so you can all watch it.
Post a video.
I will.
That would be fun.
Yeah, I don't know, Amazon dropped some stuff off today, and he found one of the boxes to be particularly enjoyable. It was an odd shaped box, so he drug it over to his workspace and tore it apart. So it was good. But seriously, everyone, really, there's lots of ways to avoid being hopeless over the holidays. Just to recap, what are the big ones that stuck out to you, Al?
Oh, well, it was kind of sort of on the peripheral, but it's about gratitude. right? Like, I mean, so that's, like all of them kind of go into that theme, right? But that I think is kind of the, what the prevailing part to get you to the most enjoyable time would be that, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, Al. I think that a lot of these are how to avoid disappointment, but one of the biggest, easiest ways to avoid disappointment is to be grateful for what you do have.
Exactly.
Whatever it is, be grateful for it.
I think I've told you this. I've been taking this. I have a new guided meditation. This guy's name is Panache Desai. Desai. Anyways, one thing that I really just kind of love about it, he talked about your breath and your breath being a miracle, a gift. And if you think about it, it is, right? We came out of our mama's wombs and we started breathing, and we're going to do that. And obviously our hearts are beating as well, but you don't notice that much as you do your breath. So if you become aware of your breath and you regard it as the miracle it is coming into your body, man, that's, that by itself is a reason to be grateful, right?
And if you've ever been deprived of that because of illness or accident or intent,
I
you
have
know how
not, but
valuable that
it's
is.
scary as heck, eh? Have you?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, resulted in 6 months of coma. But I remember not being able to get air. I mean, I was breathing, but I wasn't getting anything out of the air. And yeah, it's the most scary thing that I've ever experienced. So we were watching a TV show about crazy people driving, most dangerous roads in the world. And it was taking to some like places in Ethiopia. And one of the things that I really noticed is people were happy. They were living in what we would think of as squalor. And, the kids were playing with some piece of junk they found on the side of the road. Big smiles. People were laughing. Sure, it was edited. Okay, whatever. But the truth is, I've never been anywhere in the world I didn't hear laughter. Have you ever been anywhere in the world you didn't hear laughter?
No.
Yeah. So that means that people everywhere find some reason to be grateful and happy. Maybe not for a moment, maybe not for an hour or 2 hours, but life has a way of returning us to a balance. And I think, like you said, if we're grateful for the things that we have and don't keep looking at the things that we don't have, which is mostly what this list is saying, get off your backside, find the things you need. Don't set up yourself to fail about thinking about all the non-perfect things you don't have, right? And really
look after yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And help those if you can. If you have extra, help out. It doesn't have to be money. It can be time. It can be calling up somebody is having a tough time and just chatting with them a little bit. And you don't have to say anything profound or particularly
if you
engaging.
Have any excess in your life, you have excess time, you have excess money, you have excess care and attention that you like beyond what you need for you and your family, share that. You'll make a difference in other people's lives. You'll brighten up their day if you just make them smile for a moment, right?
And that's what we're doing here, right, Al? We're trying.
Hopefully we had some smiles while we were interacting with others. It was great for me, Scott. Thank you so much, brother.
Anytime I spend with you is good, Al, always. So have a great evening, my friend. We'll see everyone next week. You betcha. It'll be a good one. And we're going to talk about giving gifts of hope. So if you haven't got your list filled, join us.
Let me interject. Where does this come from? Hey, now for something you're really going to like. You remember where that comes from?
No, but I know what you're saying. Where does it come from?
Rocky and Bullwinkle, the little Rocky would always say, now for something we're really going to like, or you're really going to like. It was
my favorite is Pinky and the Brain. Do you ever watch?
Pinky and the Brain. Okay.
Yeah. What are we going to do tonight, Brain? Same thing we do every night, Pinky. Plan to take over the world. So
exactly.
So yeah. So plan to take over the world, whatever the case may be, but avoid holiday hopelessness by being grateful, be proactive, don't take on too much, say no when you need to. And if you really need some help and need an organization or want to volunteer some time, money, whatever, email Al or I, or leave a comment and we'll get back to you, because our community has lots and lots of places that you can either get or give. So don't be in need.
Well said, brother Sweetman. All right.
Good night, Al. You bet.